Yeah, for the audience that's still here with us, we're going to get going in just a second. Chris, you could start. Okay.
We're all set. Welcome and good evening. My name is Mary Chase, board member of the League of Women Voters of Rhode Island. And for those of you who were in the city council chamber who listened to the mayoral debate, I ask your forbearance for a moment while I repeat the introduction for this new audience. The following forum is for school committee for Ward 2. It will be recorded and will be heard by a new audience. At the end, you can go to www.LWVRI.org to find the recording there, which will be there up until Election Day. Democracy depends upon educated voters, and the purpose of this forum is for candidates to answer questions submitted by the public and the league, so you can make an informed choice when you vote. This forum is being presented by the League of Women Voters and the East Bay newspapers. Scott Pickering, managing editor of the East Bay Media Group, is our very able moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters has been holding candidates forums at local, state, and national levels since women got the vote in 1920. The League never supports or opposes candidates. The League also holds voter registration drives, and members study issues important to their localities, to their states and nation. They reach consensus and advocate for positions developed by this process. We invite you to learn more about the League by visiting our website and contacting us. In presenting debates, the League follows IRS rules, which consider it unfair if one candidate speaks if his or her opponent is not present. However, any candidates for the remaining 4 races who are present tonight and wish to be recognized may stand, and when I name your ward, you may state your name. Ward 1. Oh, and please no applause during until we reach the end of the debate. Thank you. Ward 3. Ward 4. And at large. Thank you all for your willingness to serve. The following 2 candidates for East Providence School Committee Ward 2 will debate tonight: Max Brandle and Carissa Moglia. Each candidate will have the same amount of time to speak. Each gets an opening and a closing statement, and will have a minute to answer, I think it's 8 questions tonight. The candidate will have a minute to discuss the same questions. Each candidate also gets 6 wild cards of 30 seconds each that he or she can use to expand on any issue, bring up a new subject, or to lengthen the closing statement. We're looking for thoughtful comments, as my colleague said, and not zingers. Your job as the audience is to turn off noise-making devices like cell phones and to remain quiet at the end of the debate when you can show your appreciation of the candidates by applauding. Enjoy the debate. Scott.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you to the audience once again who's with us, both on Zoom and here in person. As I said, the first one, it's nice to be in person for one of these. It's a refreshing change. Mary said she didn't want any zingers. Our first forum did have a couple zingers to it. It seemed like they waited to the end for that, but it provided some entertainment. I have a little bit of side commentary before we begin and give you both a chance to gather your thoughts more. So the League of Women Voters does a lot of work to put these together, and we've been working together throughout the region: East Providence, Barrington, Warren, Bristol, Portsmouth, Newport County, and I'm working on one down in Little Compton as well. And an interesting thing has happened this year that two things have happened. We have a lot more candidates running for office than we've had in a long time, which is a great thing for democracy. We also have had more candidates decline to participate in these than we've ever seen. And that, in my opinion, is not good for democracy. We've had a lot of candidates and entire slates of candidates in certain towns in Portsmouth, in Little Compton, some in Bristol, Warren, and here in East Providence, decline to participate. And it's unfortunate because it's just public dialogue. It's getting to know a candidate, it's getting to know people you may not know much about. So I give credit to the two people who are here tonight to do this. This is not an easy thing. Whether they've prepared notes or not, it's still difficult to sit up here and be surprised by the question that comes, gather your thoughts in about a nanosecond, and then deliver it to a live audience. So I give everyone credit for doing it. I give you both credit for being here. And I hope that the next time we go through an election that we have candidates who are willing to come forward and be seen and be heard, because it's been a frustrating experience for many of the folks at the nonpartisan, objective, only interested in democracy, legal and voters to go through. So that's my soapbox, and forgive me for adding 5 minutes to the night, but I had to say it. All right. Similar format: opening statements, question and answer, and closing statements. We'd predetermine the order. Carissa, Moglia, am I right? Yes. Moglia or Moglia. Carissa will have the first opening statement. You may begin.
Thank you to everyone who helped coordinate this event, and to Max for participating. I am so excited at the opportunity to serve the community that I grew up in. I'm a proud Loudoun County mother of two and tax-paying homeowner. I have a bachelor's in business and over a decade of experience in insurance and risk management, specializing in construction. I'm an active member of the community and stay informed by attending the school committee, budget, building, and city council meetings. I want to see all children prepared for success in school and life. My main focus will be on increasing family engagement, which will raise our proficiency scores and attendance rates. In addition to making sure that our school buildings are updated and properly maintained, I'd like it to continue the efforts to increase school security. We also need to focus on creating an environment of kindness and empathy for all, and finally updating the district's anti-bullying policy.
Thank you. And Max Brandle.
First, I just want to say thank you to everyone for hosting and being here tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Sorry, I wasn't close enough to the microphone. Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. Thank you to my opponent for being here, and thank you to everyone in the audience for attending. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Max Brandle. I'm running for re-election to the Ward 2 School Committee seat of East Providence. I'm running again because I believe that it is critical that we have a student perspective representing our school committee. I'm the youngest person to be elected to the Ward 2 seat of the school committee. I am by far the youngest person running for a school committee in East Providence this election, and I am a 2018 East Providence high school graduate, so I'm actually younger than Internet Explorer, but I think it's a great perspective to have for our school committee. So I'm looking forward to being able to continue to put our school district in a positive trajectory. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to question and answers. Ms. Moglia, we begin with you. In your opinion, what are the key challenges we face regarding the future success of our students, and what ideas do you have to address these challenges?
I think the main challenge that we face right now is getting kids caught up from the pandemic and distance learning. I know we have a big problem when it comes to our proficiency scores, even before this pandemic. I think it's about 16% in math and about 42% when it comes to reading. So I think one way that we can implement a true change is by increasing our family engagement. When families are more engaged, statistically, we see that student attendance rates go up, proficiency scores go up. And there was a third point to that, but I'll just keep going. So I think that would be the biggest change implemented. Oh, behavioral issues go down. So it's just a win-win benefit, and it takes a team effort.
Thank you. Mr. Brandle, in your opinion, what are the key challenges we face regarding the future success of our students? What ideas do you have to address these challenges?
Well, obviously, there's so many key challenges that we have had and will continue to have that it's impossible to accentuate all of those things in the 52 seconds that I have left. But I will say that I agree with my opponent that the COVID pandemic really threw a monkey wrench in a lot of the progress that's been happening with our school district. I think overall, we just need to really continue to move in a positive direction, give our teachers and students the support and resources that they need to obviously be well equipped to handle the challenges that have come from learning loss. The hits we've taken from attendance, teacher retention, absenteeism, and again, all of this is part of a national issue. It's not anything unique to our localized school district. But I think actually we're ahead of the curve in a lot of ways if you really break everything down and look at it. But overall, we just need to, continue moving in a positive direction and capitalizing upon what we've been doing.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Brandle, a new question begins with you. Regarding the presence of school police officers, sometimes referred to as SROs, or often referred to as SROs, would you like to increase, keep the same, or decrease the presence of SROs in East Providence schools, and why?
I think it's important to maintain what we have. I think SROs are very good, not just for safety reasons, but just as a matter of building that branch in the community for our students, building trust between students, parents, and law enforcement. They're a great resource for students to be able to go to, like, let's say, there's a problem with bullying, maybe they just want to, open up to someone and they don't feel like they have that level of trust with others. SROs are extremely important in my opinion. So at the moment, I would just say that I'm very grateful for the SROs that we have, the work they do. And I would just, like to continue to see them do the great work that they already do.
Thank you. Ms. Moglia, regarding the presence of school police officers, would you like to increase, keep the same, or decrease the presence of SROs in East Providence schools?
I think we can explore the option of increasing the number of SROs that we have in our schools, because I know they're just at the high school and the middle schools at the moment. I know that's not the only means of protection for our students. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart, having a child who unfortunately has to grow up in a world where this is a major concern for him. And of course, it's a concern for me, school security and the things that we see happening nationally. So when it was brought to my attention that the high school SRO didn't have full access to the high school, I brought up that concern. And since then, the new superintendent has made sure that they have all the access that they need as far as their key fobs go and things of that nature. So this is definitely something I'm very passionate.
All right. Thank you. Next question begins with you, Ms. Moglia. Do you support inclusive curriculum in schools? That is, do you support educational discussions that include concepts of race, gender, and sexuality?
I know this is a very hot topic and something that has come up time and time again, not only door knocking, but in the community. It saddens me to see how divisive things have gotten. I know a lot of people say CRT, and that's a very loaded question, but I think, can we all agree on not bringing anything divisive into the schools and not hiding anything from parents either? Let's just be transparent Let's have community forums. Let's have unity and not division. Some of the things that come up are banning books and things of that nature, and they just need to be age appropriate. And we need to teach all of history, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mr. Brandle, I'll repeat the question. Do you support inclusive curriculum in the schools? That is, do you support educational discussions that include concepts of race, gender, and sexuality?
Absolutely. And I do agree that this is, a very divisive topic. And to my knowledge, I'm really not sure why. Overall, I think teaching, true history as it is, sometimes it's not what people like to hear, but it is the truth. And we really need to understand and, be acceptant of that. I know, and I'm not trying to take a swing or anything, but I do know that you're a member of Parents United and you did, sign a pledge, which basically, kind of is against that in a sense. And also that parents should basically be the ones that are the deciders of curriculum. You can respond to that after too, if you want, but that, to me, that's my interpretation of it. And overall, that's just, I think we just need to teach history, inclusively and ensure that all students are represented in our curriculum in our community. And that shouldn't be a tough stance to take.
I will go ahead and say something to that. I agree with teachers presenting all of the facts. What I don't agree with, and what Parents United also doesn't agree with, and you guys can check out their website, I'll speak to that later, is instilling a teacher's, you shouldn't know your teacher's political ideology or religious affiliation. I think you need to foster a sense of critical thinking for these kids. So that's where I stand on that. And as far as education goes, it's a partnership between the educators who are so great at what they do. I just had a son who graduated high school, and I'm so thankful for the teachers of East Providence.
Thank you. All right, new question. Mr. Brandle, begins with you. There's a lot of discussion about transparency. In fact, we just heard that word. Do you believe East Providence schools are transparent, or do you have concerns about transparency? If so, what are they, and what are your ideas for improvement?
Yeah, so I think transparency is something that we're really not that bad with. I mean, you'd have to give me a specific example of, where you think there's not a proper amount of transparency. In my opinion, I think we're very transparent and straightforward. A lot of the people who accuse us of not being transparent actually don't happen to watch most of the school committee meetings, so that might be a reason for that. But overall, I think just ways to improve upon it, having consistent communication with the community, trying to overall, generate discussions from people, multiple different stakeholders, and get more people involved in school committee meetings, dialogue related to our schools. That's a good way to, show that transparency is a good thing, which we are supportive of. And just overall, transparency is good. That's all I can say, and we're fully supportive of it.
Ms. Moglia, do you believe East Providence schools are transparent? Do you have any concerns about transparency? If so, what are they, and what are your ideas for improvement?
I believe overall East Providence is transparent. I'm very pleased with the staff that we employ. We have some, teachers that even receive national recognition in our district. There were some issues when it came to transparency, like I had mentioned before, when I talked to the previous director of facilities about this security concern with the key fob access for the SROs in the high school. I was blatantly lied to. And that didn't come to fruition until I was speaking with local law enforcement. And then it was again, confirmed by the new superintendent. The other issue that recently came up is I had two parents tell me that there was a teacher in the high school who had their children go on this website where you had to put in a birth date and you had to be 18 or older. These students were around 15, 16 years old, and they were told, oh, just put in any birth date. So that I have a problem with, but for the most part, I think we're in good shape.
Thank you. Next question, Ms. Moglia, begins with you. What do you think is going well in East Providence schools that you wish to continue or celebrate or expand?
We have so much going on. That's great and awesome in this district. I went to this school district my whole life. I just had an older son who went through the school district, and then I have a little one that will be going into it. And I think one of the great things we have going for us is this new high school. And with all the great offerings that they have, not just a plan for kids to go to a four-year college, but also for them to have a different path and maybe take up a trade, which is just as important. And I also think we're doing a great job. Mr. Black had implemented some feedback from students as far as introducing more classes to go ahead and get those students engaged, which leads to success.
Thank you. Mr. Brandle, same question. What do you think is going well in East Providence schools that you wish to continue or celebrate or expand?
I think there's definitely an extremely long list of things that are going well in our schools, which my opponent definitely mentioned a lot of those great things. And yes, it's definitely true that, there's so many positive things happening when you look at, just the facility improvements that are being made. Over the past few years, there's more, capital improvement line items being addressed than there has in a long time in years past. When you look overall at how, our teachers, students, and everyone is working together, post-COVID pandemic, I guess you could say, even though we're still, dealing with like new variants that are upcoming. Everyone seems to be, showing examples of that, towny pride that we all, feel and see in our school district. And I think overall the positivity is just great to see. And we're really looking at different ways to continue to capitalize upon that positivity and momentum for our school district. So I'm happy to see that.
Thank you. All right, so we're through 5 out of 8 questions, just setting the table here. You each have wild cards you can use throughout. So far, Ms. Moglia, you've used one. Mr. Brandle, you haven't used any. So you do have more time if you want to jump in on any of these topics. We have three topics left. Mr. Brandle, we begin this question with you. How should the school department retain its current high-quality teachers and attract new high-quality teachers?
Yeah, so this is obviously a nationwide issue, which is the, overall way that teachers are being, treated in terms of pay, benefits, and being, and just dealing with retention issues. That's obviously a big issue, but I think our schools are very supportive of our teachers when we thank them for the large amount of work that they put in, not just during the school day, but dealing with, classroom preparation, attending meetings, grading papers late at night. But we can definitely work to continue to improve their pay, benefits, and let them know that we are a very welcoming school district that is positive to work for, and we'd like to continue to treat our teachers better, even though I think that right now we do a pretty good job of treating them correctly.
Thank you. Ms. Moya, how should the school department retain its current high-quality teachers and attract new high-quality teachers?
Sure. So what I learned from the teachers union is that East Providence teachers are paid below the average compared to the rest of the state, as well as the percentage of our overall city budget is about 44% for the school department compared to Pawtucket, which is about 65%, and Barrington, which is about 83%. So I would look to collaborate with the city council and see if we can allocate some more funds to the school department in general and help out our teachers, because we know they don't go into it for the pay, and I'm so thankful that they go into it with their hearts. And the other thing we need to focus on too, is when it comes to the budget, is everyone wants to look at cutting costs. It's not just about cutting costs, but we could look at ways to also generate additional revenue for the school district as well as the city.
Thank you. New question. Ms. Moglia begins with you. The pandemic had a negative impact on all aspects of education. What should the next school committee do to turn things in a better direction, particularly in the area of student performance?
So I kind of harped on this before. And I really think the missing piece to the puzzle is increasing family engagement. The last survey that we did in the spring showed that a family engagement rate of only 14% for district-wide. So I think we can definitely look at some ways to maybe invite them in career days. Some other ideas that we had were providing incentives like raffles for attending meetings or completing surveys, hosting open forums and workshops with pizza and maybe childcare provided, because we need to keep in mind the different types of families that make up our district. It's not all two-parent households, not even all English speaking. So I think we definitely need to keep all those things into account, and even connecting families with resources within the community, whether it be groceries or medical care or whatever the case may be.
Thank you. Mr. Brandle, what should the next school committee do to turn things in a better direction, particularly in the area of student performance?
So as you've seen from when you look at our newly hired director of teaching and learning, when she gives her presentation, you saw how, the curriculum is being updated, how we have functional and diverse school improvement teams that are coming to fruition. The new strategic planning committee, which has now been meeting. So there's a lot of ways that we can really garner input from the community, from teachers in our schools, students, and everyone else to, try and capitalize on that feedback and look for ways to improve, performance within our schools. But overall, just continuing to have a positive focus on curriculum and looking at areas where we can really just capitalize upon it, and increasing family engagement is another important thing. And there's a lot of barriers to that when you really take into account how like English language learners are not normally speaking English, like when you learn about curriculum. So
Thank you. All right, so that's almost to our last question. It's really interesting. The audience can't see this giant clock that's up here counting down the seconds. And this is the first forum I've ever done with this. It's really driving the candidates to like wrap their statements up at the end. Normally they just keep talking and we're charging them wild
just
cards
keep
and
looking at the clock.
instead they're all like phew, right to the second and they're ending it. So we're getting to the end. You still haven't used really any wild cards. So I'm going to try and sell them to you on this last question. Because, and if you listen to the mayor's forum, it's a very familiar question. Mr. Brandle, it begins with you. What issue would you like to talk about that we have not already focused on tonight?
I think one thing that we could really talk about more is just the overall way in which we can get more student perspective in regards to issues affecting our schools, getting students to be more engaged with school committee meetings. And an idea that I heard that I really like is if you've seen at our school committee meetings how we have a student liaison from the high school, maybe getting more liaisons from, the middle schools, getting that, student perspective from the elementary levels, and really figuring out how we can do things differently. And again, this is just a thing that we don't really talk about enough when it comes to things that we do talk about. There's obviously a lot more that we need to focus on as well, but more student perspectives, I'd say, would be something I'd like to see.
Ms. Moglia, what issue would you like to talk about that we have not already focused on tonight?
I would like to talk about the conditions of our school buildings. I know that Martin Middle School in particular was just rated second worst in the state. So therefore, we have question 4 on the ballot for November, and I'm definitely in favor of the bonds and renovating Martin Middle School. I've been going to the building committee meetings. I'm very impressed with the plans that were presented. It's very comforting to hear all of the security concerns that they've taken into account when designing these. And I think we also need to go ahead and finally take care of Waddington as well, with the concerns with the open classrooms, as well as we were promised a vestibule for security for that school years ago, and I would like to finally see that come to fruition.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of the question and answer. So I didn't sell any wild cards. They have lots of time left for their closing statements. We're going to go in the same order. Ms. Moglia, you have the first closing statement and up to 3.5 minutes if you would like to use it. We'll give the timekeepers a moment to get set with that. And I think you may begin.
Okay, so as they say, it takes a village, and if we could all come together in unity, we could positively contribute to the children's lives in East Providence. I loved the unity poem that Mr. Black recently shared that ended in, "For behind the parent stood the school, and behind the teacher stood the home." We do this by putting egos and politics aside, working collaboratively and focusing on increasing family engagement to raise our proficiency scores and attendance rates. My business degree and decade of experience in construction insurance and risk management will be especially beneficial upon the potential passing of question 4 and the new bond. As I've been out door knocking and speaking with neighbors, so many of them asked if I was sure that I wanted to get involved in politics. It didn't take me long to figure out why. Certain members of the East Providence Democrat Committee and their supporters have spread horrible and false lies about me and the organization that I am a part of. This is the same committee who is endorsing my opponent. I've lived in East Providence for 35 years, and I've been nothing short of kind and helpful to everyone. Despite the ongoing lies, character assassination, and bullying, my voice will only get louder. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "There comes a time when silence is betrayal." And by my opponent knowingly allowing the school committee agenda to be censored, his silence is betrayal to the people that he is supposed to represent. I promise to use my voice to advocate for all children, parents, and educators. I will always work hard and do the right thing. And anyone who has questions or concerns, even words of encouragement, can reach me by phone or email, which are listed on my flyers, ads, and Facebook page. Now, since I have additional time, I didn't know that I wasn't going to fly through all my cards. I will go ahead and address what Parents United Rhode Island is. It's just a grassroots organization founded by mothers, fathers, and child guardians in Rhode Island who band together to preserve the rights of parents when it comes to their children's education and health. Our parents represent a range of personal, political ideologies and racial backgrounds. We're united on the preservation of parental rights and keeping political ideology out of K-12 public education. As a group, we denounce anything to do with white supremacy, homophobia, transphobia, or anything of the sort that we were accused of. We believe in having compassion for all while vigorously defending the idea that schools should not be keeping secrets from parents. And we were very influential in gaining bipartisan support for the recent Senate Bill 2219 that was passed to close the loophole that allowed people in authority, including teachers, to have relations with minors as young as 14. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brandle, you have up to 4 minutes if you'd like. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot the dedicated crew here at the end. My apologies. All right. Yes, he has up to 4 minutes, which can begin now.
And I just wanted to thank everyone again for being here, to my opponent for attending, and again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. So as I said, I'm running for re-election to continue the positive trajectory that's been happening with our school district. I believe that there's a lot of positive things that we've really done that I'd like to continue to expand upon. Facility improvements, which we've been addressing and tending to in a way that our school district has not in years past. And making diversity, equality, and tolerance for those in our community a major focus for everybody. I believe everybody, regardless of their race, religion, disability, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, economic status, all deserve equal treatment in our schools. And the way we do that is just by creating a tolerant and accepting environment for everybody. in addition to that, we obviously have a lot of positive initiatives, programs and happenings in our school district. If you look at our newsletters that the schools send out weekly, you can see a lot of the positive things that are happening. And overall, I just think our school district is really doing great in our state. And yes, we do have a lot of work to do, without a doubt, but I'm very confident when you look at the leadership we have, some of the new faces in our leadership, like Dr. Ferrand. Yes, she's already been there, but now she is the superintendent and she has a lot of great ideas. When you look at our new director of teaching and learning position that we created, I think that curriculum is going to become much more of a primary focus than it has in years past. And that's pretty much all I have off the top of my head because I didn't really bring notes, but you can check out my page. It's Max Brandle for School Committee Ward 2. And it basically, I post on it, not as much as I used to, so I should start posting on it more, but I ultimately like to share a lot of school events, things that are happening. And I'll be posting more about my platform, what I support, what I believe in. But overall, that's pretty much who I am. And again, I know I look really young, but as I said, I'm a 2018 East Providence High School graduate, and having that student perspective on the school committee is the primary asset that I bring to the table. And I would like to capitalize on that if reelected. And, just all of the students that I've seen, spoken to in my years up to 2018, talking with students who some of them have been, whether it's they're bullied, whether they didn't like a specific homework assignment, whatever it is, I would, hear their input, speak with them, see what they'd like to see changed, and really bring that voice to the committee. And that is something that I think is a valuable asset for our schools.
Thank you. I'm going to invite up Mary Chase from the League of Women Voters to close this out, and then you can bring forth your thunderous applause. Turn on your mic, Mary.
Thank you, Scott. And thank the leaguers, Susan Eschrick, Naomi Kennedy, and Donnie McGee for facilitating tonight's forum. And thank you, candidates, for your very thoughtful remarks tonight. And you can tell why we consider Scott to be a treasure moderating these events. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained insight that will help you in voting. Remember, you can avoid lines and vote now in person during office hours here in City Hall and on Saturday, November 5th from 9 to 1. And of course, you can also vote on Election Day, November 8th. A link to this forum and all previous ones that the League has put on this year, along with the East Bay Media Group, will be available on our League of Women Voters website, LWVRI.org. And these will be available up until Election Day. Thank you all for attending and hope you have a good evening.